It's time for the UVU Wolverine Coaches Show. For the next hour, you'll get caught up on everything Utah Valley University basketball right here on Utah County Sports Station, ESPN 960.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. We are live at Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, Utah on Monday, March 2nd. A beautiful new Volkswagen facility built in December of 2017, where you can get the 2020 Volkswagen Jetta S 1.4T turbocharged sedan. It's a great vehicle that can get over 40 miles per gallon on the highway. Hope you had a great weekend, everybody. Brandon Crow again with you here on the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Utah Valley men's basketball dropped their lone game last week to the Lancers of CBU and Riverside. We'll dive into the details of that in just a bit. We got a good show for you. We are going to hear from women's basketball coach Dan Nielsen. We have a mystery guest as well, tuned up and ready for you. But first off, our first guest is a man that many people love, a proud new dad again, and a man that may or may not have frequented a certain Jack in the Box on Santa Monica Boulevard more than I did when he played for the Lakers. Head coach Mark Madsen. Congratulations on the new baby, Coach.
Brandon, I really appreciate it. We had little Leroy early last week, and it was such a great day. My wife Hannah woke me up in the middle of the night, and she said, "It's time. It's happening." And I'll never forget, because as she labored a little bit at home, and then as we left the house to go to the hospital, there had been heavy winds the night before, and a tree had been knocked over and was blocking the road.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, this last week. Now, luckily, there's a different way out of the neighborhood, but talk about a curveball in the middle of the night.
Man, it sounds like a movie.
Yeah, but the birth, and our young son is doing well, and Hannah's doing really well. Both are at home now and just recovering. So,
Leroy, is this a family name?
It's a family name. My dad's name is Dwayne Leroy, and so Leroy is a family name, and it's meaningful. It's meaningful to Hannah and I, and obviously great relationship with my dad, and we just felt like it was the right name, and it was really meaningful.
Excellent. Now, I saw Hannah posted a picture of all four of you on Instagram, and I think one of my favorite things of that picture was your son William and his Crocs. So who has more pairs of Crocs right now, you or William?
He's a close second.
Close second.
I think I got 10 or 12 pairs. He has 2 pairs.
Okay.
He's got the blue and the red, and he alternates them back and forth, but they're comfortable. We go for comfort.
Do you have a favorite pair of Crocs?
I'm all about functionality, okay. Brandon. I've been to the top of Half Dome in California in Crocs.
Really?
Yeah. So the Crocs have versatility, and I wear them into the office a lot, just easy on my feet.
Sure.
Obviously, change into the basketball shoes when it comes time to practice, but I'm a long-time Croc guy.
We'll get to the team in just a little bit, Coach. We have you for a little while here, but we do have some fans from social media that we'll get to. But real quick, I want to go back to your younger years, 5th grade. A certain PE teacher who had some nicknames for his students might have changed the way that the world sees you in 5th grade. Take us back to that moment when he gave you the nickname Mad Dog. How'd that come about?
Well, it was crazy. We had this awesome PE teacher. He had a tryout or 2 with the 49ers. He had a weight room in his house, and he lived down the street. And so we all kind of knew him, and he was just yoked. and he drove a motorcycle. He would drive around town with his girlfriend, and he was just a cool guy. So he gave nicknames to everybody that year. We were in the 5th grade, and I didn't have one. And then one day I was out there playing basketball, and he said, "I've got the nickname for you." He said, "It's going to be Mad Dog Madsen." And then after that, it just stuck.
So who helped carry that? Was that something that your peers carried with you until everybody else just kind of took a hold of it?
Yeah, my peers literally would just call me Mad Dog or call me Dog, and then it went from elementary to junior high to high school, high school to college. Kind of just stuck with me.
That's great. Now, you served as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in southern Spain. That's a place that's special for my family because my dad served there as well. What is something that you took away from that experience that's helped you into the basketball sphere?
Well, a lot of things from those 2 years in southern Spain. So many. First of all, I love the Spanish people. I loved the opportunity to serve in Spain. I love the language of Spanish. But I think one of the biggest things that I took was just work ethic and discipline. When you're a missionary, you're getting up at early hours of the day, consistently. There's a program. You're studying scriptures. You're doing a lot of different things. You're doing community service. You're out there interacting with people. I shared my religious beliefs with those who were interested in learning more. And it was just, I look back on it, and every time I do, I smile, because it was such an amazing 2 years of life.
Now, Spanish food is fantastic. My dad used to make some tortilla española growing up.
Oh, yeah.
He even ventured to make some paella one time.
There you go.
You look pretty fit, Coach. You look like you could go right back out there on the court. Do you still eat any of that stuff?
I'm on a stricter program now. When I hit 40, the metabolism slows way down. I tell my wife, I say, hey, if it's around the house, I'm going to eat it.
Okay.
No matter what it is.
Sure.
So sometimes I'll come home and different things will be thrown away in a good way. But no, it's Spain and those 2 years. I'll never forget, going to my first area right outside of Seville. It was a little town called Alcalá, and it had a very heavy Moorish influence. In fact, there were tunnels that had been built by the Moors that had come up from Africa, and so the city had a huge tunnel system under the city. People would go down there and get lost.
Oh, wow.
And so one week, one of our friends invited us to go down into the labyrinth under the city. And I said, no way, I'm not going. I don't want to risk my mission.
Did you ever use your Spanish in the NBA?
All the time.
Yeah?
All the time. Especially early on in Los Angeles. There's a really strong Latino community there. And so there were a lot of opportunities to interact with the Chicano Latino community in Southern California, which I loved. And then obviously there were some Spanish-speaking players throughout the NBA. Pau Gasol, Manu Ginobili, others. And so it's it sticks with you.
When you spoke to Pau and used your theta, did he say anything to you about that?
Well, it sounds normal to him.
Oh, sure.
it sounds great to him. Other people, they look at me, particularly the people in Southern California, they would look at me and in their mind something didn't quite click, because I was speaking pretty decent Spanish, but with a really weird accent. And so they would kind of look at me like, who are you? Where are you from? Why are you speaking like this?
Now, late last summer, early fall, you went back to your alma mater, Stanford, and you had a fantastic experience being inducted to the Hall of Fame there. What was that experience like for you?
Well, first of all, it was an honor. It was an honor to be inducted into the Hall of Fame there. And what I said in the speech that night, I said, look, this is a team honor, because no one goes into any Hall of Fame without every single member of the team. We had walk-ons that busted their tail every single day in practice. We had team managers, every member of the coaching staff, the SID, Bob Vasquez, the sports information director. Every single person was a part of that, and every single person was a part of the team success that we had there.
That's awesome. Now, Coach, as a young kid growing up in Los Angeles, I know I talked about our Laker connection and me watching you, but there are three significant guys who really provided a soundtrack for my life and really helped pave the way for me to try and be in this profession, and Vince Scully, Bob Miller, Chick Hearn. What was one of your favorite memories with Chick Hearn?
Well, first of all, I have great memories of Chick. We were on a road trip once. I can't remember which city it was, but I was down eating breakfast with a teammate, and Chick walked in. And I'm thinking, hey, Chick is big time. Chick is probably going to get his food and go review his notes. No, Chick came right over, sat right next to me, chatted me up. We had a great breakfast. Chick was someone who could take a game and make it come to life, almost like you were living it, almost like you were living a movie. One time, we went into a team film session. We had not been playing well. And Phil Jackson said, guys, it's important that you listen to what people are saying about you. Hey, when it's all said and done, the fans, the supporters, they pay your paycheck. Everyone in the seats, they are paying your paycheck as players. So he turned on the film of our game the previous night, and it was us not playing very well, and Chick Hearn was just ripping us. And Phil Jackson turned the volume way up so we could hear Chick Hearn just ripping us. And he said, hey, this is important for you guys to hear. And I'll never forget that, because, obviously you play a game that you love, and it becomes a profession. But at the end of the day, everyone is a stakeholder. The fans, the supporters, the corporate sponsors. And if they weren't seeing the hustle that they wanted, we needed to hear that. Chick Hearn got it. Phil Jackson got it, and it was communicated to the players.
Speaking of Phil, we'll go to our first social media question. Tyler in San Diego wants to know how much of Phil's philosophies as a coach stick with you now, and how has your coaching style changed from the NBA to where you are now at Utah Valley?
Well, let me talk first about Phil, then we'll talk about coaching philosophy. So one of the great things that Phil did as a coach is he made you feel as a player like you could go out there and tackle the world. He made you feel like an all-star. The confidence that he put in you as a player. I really try to help instill that in our players. I'm not trying to be the type of coach that yanks a guy in a demonstrative way with one mistake. Because Phil wasn't like that. My college coach wasn't like that. Now, if it's 2 or 3 mistakes in a row, sometimes the player needs to come out just to settle down, get some water, recenter. But I think the way that Phil just had that belief in you as a player really impacted me. And then going over from the pros to the college side of the game, I think in the pros, all you have is basketball. There's no academics. There's no, really the entire focus of everything you're doing is to help these players maximize their potential on the court and off personally. But really, in college, you have to push them academically. You have to help them academically. You have to support them academically. Study halls. Earlier this year, I went to study hall. Just to be in there to help the guys, to just be present. It was great. It was fun. I can't go to every single study hall because the number of demands as a head coach is high. But I love being in study hall with the guys that time, and I hope in the spring to be able to go more, to spend time with them.
Again, you're listening to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association here on ESPN 960. We are at Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, Utah. And Volkswagen Atlas was named Cars.com Family Car of the Year. And, Coach, you are a proud owner of Volkswagen. How's your ride?
Well, we actually have 2 Volkswagens.
2? Okay, even better.
Yeah, we have 2 Volkswagens. My wife, Hannah, loves her Volkswagen. And, matter of fact, she just brought it into this dealership.
Okay.
Carlos Iglesias' dealership 2 weeks ago, and it's purring like a kitten. And then I drive an unbelievable Volkswagen as well. Gets great mileage, and take the recruits around in it.
Perfect. We will take a quick break. We're just getting started here on the UVU Coaches Show with Mark Madsen. Again, we have a special guest coming up, Coach. We tried to keep this one a secret from you, so we'll see if you can figure out by the clues when we return. We'll step away, but we'll be right back on ESPN 960.
You're listening to the UVU Wolverine Coaches Show on Utah County Sports Station, ESPN 960.
All right, everybody, welcome back again to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. Brandon Crow alongside Mark Madsen. We are coming at you live from Ken Garff Volkswagen at Orem, Utah. Coach, we do have a special guest. I know you're trying to, in your mind, figure out who it is, and so they'll be calling in shortly, and once we do have them, we'll patch them on through. Real quick, we did want to get to one more social media question before we go into the Utah Valley route. This one is coming in from the Twitter handle El Cuervo 1978. He wants to know what type of relationship you have or you had with Jerry West.
Well, really strong one. A very strong relationship. Jerry West drafted me in 2000. The thing that makes Jerry West special is he helps you as a player, but then he helps you personally. Not only did he draft me, but that season he had me over to his house for dinner with his family. And just you're shooting the breeze over at Jerry West's house. You're enjoying spending time with him and his family. And you're talking about everything under the sun except for basketball. And then when I was leaving, he gave me a big confidence boost. And he built me up a little bit, and then he gave me a move I could work on, a little spin move in the post.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll never forget when Jerry did move on from the Lakers, there were a lot of testimonials about him in the LA Times, written about Jerry.
Jerry is someone who, when somebody had a death in the family, when someone had a baby, when there was a legal situation, it said Jerry West was always the guy who was showing up at the house, who was calling the person, who was there to help and reach out to that player or management member or member of the Lakers family. And I think that speaks volumes about Jerry West, his character as a person, his integrity as a human being.
Did he cook for you that night?
No, he didn't cook.
Jerry West doesn't cook.
He didn't cook.
Coach, last week we briefly talked about this before air, but a little bit of an interesting situation for you where you're sitting at home with your family, but you're watching your team in Riverside on Wednesday. What was that experience like for you?
Well, number one, I was where I should be with my family and my new son. But it was a busy week because our baby was overdue, and it was Sunday night. And Hannah and I were just planning for the week, and I said, hey, we've got a game Wednesday, and we've got the Kobe Bryant funeral tomorrow. And she said, well, this baby is not coming right now. He's already 3 or 4 days overdue, and there's no signs anywhere of him coming. And so she said, book your flight tomorrow morning to go to Kobe's funeral. She said, I don't need you gone during the middle of the night, but get up at 6 a.m., catch an early morning flight to L.A., hit the funeral, and then come back. Because that was something that was important to us, to be there for Kobe's funeral event. Well, I booked the flight, and then at 2 in the morning that night, she woke me up and she said, it's happening. And so then I was still trying to make it to the game Wednesday. It didn't work out because when you have a baby, there's a lot of things that happen, and it was not in the cards for me to make it to the game that Wednesday. I needed to be at home. But yeah, I watched the game. Todd Phillips took over the head coaching duties. He did an outstanding job. Todd's a great coach. Obviously, the 2 national championships over at Salt Lake Community were huge, and just a great tactician. And the players played very well. We played a good defensive game. You look at what the guys have been doing all season. T.J. Washington as a senior. He had a game 2 or 3 games ago where he had 13 assists. Unbelievable. So here's a guy, T.J. Washington, who has the capability of going for 13 or 15 assists. He's also had games where he scored over 25 points. And so he's really put together a phenomenal season as a senior. And so I'm proud of him. I'm proud of all the guys, and the guys battled down there. As a team, collectively, we fouled a little bit too much late game. Put Cal Baptist on the free throw line. Otherwise, we would have had a chance to win. Now,
you mentioned your assistants, and I thought this was very interesting, but there was a clip, I want to say it was of Indiana's bench, the Hoosiers, earlier this week, and the camera focused in on the coaches really interacting, and it almost looked like they were arguing with each other. Mm-hmm. And then the coaching staff came out afterward and said that this is exactly what we want, is we want people to be not afraid to share their opinions. And you, with all of your assistant coaches having the vast experience that they do, you're all very different, but yet it looks like you guys are all one cohesive unit, and it's really clicking for you.
Well, I mean, the staff is second to none. You've got Todd Phillips, who, I mean, I spoke about him a second ago. You have Coach Todd Okeson, who, as a player and a coach, has had great success. As a player, he took the University of Nevada, Reno, as far as that program has ever gone in the history of the school as a point guard. He's been at Southern Utah as a coach. He's been at Nevada as a coach. He's been on staff at University of Hawaii. So he's someone who really, at the point guard position, just offers a fresh perspective on everything, offense and defense. Then, of course, Jared Jackson, who comes to us from University of Texas Arlington. He and his wife have Utah ties. And then Jared was at Texas Tech before that. And I called Coach Beard about Jared Jackson. And Coach Beard, he told me straight up, he said, all of the success that we had at Texas Tech, Jared Jackson was a huge part of the team's success here and helping to build that culture. Mm-hmm. Jared has a passion for defense. And I think a lot of the defensive concepts that the fans and the media and the experts see are a direct result of Jared Jackson.
Now, how does this Utah Valley team really turn it on defense? Because from our perspective, that has been one of the biggest turning points for this team, is being their lockdown defensive modes that they get in. And was there a turning point somewhere in this season? Because I feel like as of late they've been clicking on all cylinders. The
defense has been good. Look, there's a lot of different reasons for it, but let me point to a few. Number one, Emmanuel Olajupoki set a school record for blocks single season. He should absolutely be a candidate for Defensive Player of the Year. He should be a candidate for one of the top defensive players in the country. And so you got him, E-Man, anchoring your back line. And then two defenders that really, you look at Brandon Averett. We almost always put Brandon Averett on the other team's best player. And sometimes we'll switch off, and if it's a guard wing type, okay? And then for bigger players, for bigger wings and even going down to power forwards, we'll throw Isaiah White on that player. And those two guys, I mean, you talk about talent, you talk about heart, you talk about work ethic. Brandon Averett and Isaiah White embody those things. And obviously then you have E-Man back there with his willingness to sacrifice for the team. And it just makes for a dynamic group.
Again, you're listening to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association, coming at you live from Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, Utah. You said you gave your guys rest a couple days? Just one day?
Yeah, so they had yesterday off, and we're coming back today with practice.
2 games this week, the final 2 games to wrap up this regular season before the WAC tournament next week in Las Vegas. What's the mindset right now for these guys?
Well, the mindset is one of excitement. There's excitement. There's anticipation. We know how well we've played this season. We've had multiple overtime games. We've had a couple games where it's been within 2 or 3 points. And so we believe we can play with anyone. And you go back to the game at Kentucky where we're down 2 with a chance to – we're down 1 or 2 points with an open 3 in the corner that goes in and out. I mean, we feel that we were right there to win that Kentucky game on the road. And so when you add it all together, I want us to be peaking at the right time, and I believe we can.
What are you expecting from Kansas City on Thursday?
They're an aggressive, trapping team when it comes to ball screens. Offensively, they run a few things that are they run some quick-hitter NBA-type sets. They run good stuff. Billy Donald's done a nice job taking over that program. And so even this morning, you were talking about coaching staffs and having that free-flowing feedback. I mean, just this morning in our coaches meeting, we were arguing about how we're going to guard certain things. But that's what you want, because you want the free flow of idea exchanges.
And then you're wrapping up you never want to overlook a game or not look past a game, but Saturday will be senior night. And that'll be an interesting game against Chicago State. But we have our mystery guest coach. I'm going to see if you can guess this based off of the clues I'm going to give you here.
You're going to put me on the spot.
Yeah. Our next guest is one of the best-dressed men in the business, a fellow Californian, 5-time German League champion, 2-time German League Finals MVP, and the co-2000 Pac-10 Freshman of the Year. With
Casey Jacobson.
Yes, you got it right there. Casey Jacobson from Pac-12 Network and FS1. Casey, how are you doing today?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Mark, it's great to hear your voice, man. Congrats on baby number 2, by the way, man. Happy for you.
Hey, Casey, thanks so much, man. It was hey, tell your brother to go easy on us, man. Cal Baptist, he's got some great offensive schemes down there, man. Tell him to go easy on us.
All right, I'll tell him, but he doesn't listen, man. They're my brother you're talking about, Mark, of course, is my brother Adam Jacobson, my oldest brother. Him and the staff, Rick Croy and everybody at Cal Baptist, trying. You know how it is, Mark. Any win at this stage, especially in February, you'll do just about anything to get one of those.
Isn't that the truth? That's the truth. Casey, how are you doing?
I'm great, man. Unlike you, Mark, I don't live and die by every game. Like, as a broadcaster, I win every single time, man. So I get to watch and study all these coaches and players. I've been a broadcaster now for 6 years. Absolutely love it. And I love this time of year, especially just because we get to talk about dark horses for Final Four, talk about Player of the Year, Coach of the Year candidates, and just talk about the sport that I love, man. It's awesome.
Well, Casey, I'll tell you this, man. A lot of great coaches go from the booth to the bench. They go straight from the booth to the bench, and that might happen to you. I know you got that bug. I mean, but the question is, when do you want to give up the better schedule? Is the bottom line.
I mean, I've thought about it many times, right? I mean, I retired as a basketball player in 2014, and wanted to give broadcasting a shot, kind of right off the bat. And luckily got hired with Fox Sports. I've been with them. I work a little bit with Pac-12 too. But yeah, I mean, I talked to Brother Adam about the pros and cons of coaching. I've been around the game my whole life, and so I've seen what the coaches have to do. And I don't think anybody, no casual fan, really understands or appreciates what the coaches have to go through on a game-by-game basis. I mean, as a player, you're trying to take care of your body, get in the weight room, eat right, work on your skill set, and then go out and ball. And you're mostly worried about yourself and what you're doing and what your role is. But the coaches have to worry about the 12 to 15-man roster every single night. It's not about just one guy. It's about the collective group. They have to run an organization or run a college basketball program. They have to speak with the media. They have to be the face of that organization. It's just there's a lot of stuff that goes into coaching basketball besides actually coaching basketball. So, I love the game and would never say never, but I don't have any plans in the immediate future to move to the bench.
Yeah, well, I don't know if Steve Kerr did either, Case. I don't know if Steve Kerr did either when he went. But no, it's no. I mean, Casey, it's so interesting because looking back when we were with Mike Montgomery, I mean, we won a lot of games. We lost a few, but now as a head coach, when we lose a game, I can't sleep. I'm up watching the tape. I'm making notes. I'm sure Adam's the same way. And then it's not until the next day when you hold the practice, preferably, guys are going hard at each other, and then you leave the practice and you get the loss out of your system. So that's kind of what that's been, my experience as the head coach.
Yeah, no, and I feel for you. It's also unique, Mark, and I've been following you from afar, man, right? Or at least this season. It's also just so difficult in your first year as a college basketball coach. I think, going back to when you and I were teammates, Mark, I was a freshman in 1999-2000 season at Stanford, and Mark was a senior that year, our leader, our captain. Mark, imagine, or you don't have to imagine, but just understand how different college basketball is now. I mean, just the landscape of college basketball has changed so much in that 20 years. We're in a one-and-done era, and I'm not saying that you at Utah Valley are dealing with, guys leaving after 1 year, but this transfer culture where if something's not going right for a player, there's a lot of examples where guys will just say, all right, I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm not getting playing time right away. It's not right for me, and I'm out of here, rather than kind of sticking it out. Maybe redshirting, maybe trying to add 25 pounds and have to sit behind an upperclassman. That stuff is getting more and more difficult to navigate. You know more as a coach than I do, but just as a broadcaster, I mean, I've met and talked with coaches all across this country, and it is just the roster turnover year to year in college basketball makes my head spin. I mean, every single year I have to go back to the drawing board and research a brand new roster on most every team. So I can only imagine as a college coach and as a recruiter, that type of environment has got to make your job much difficult than it would have been 20 years ago.
Well, I mean, 100%, because it's funny. Just even this morning, we were looking at some of the recruiting plans we have for the next month or two, and we're calling it free agency. I mean, it's free agency, but the difference between free agency and pro sports and colleges, in free agency and the pros, you can actually sign somebody for a 3-year deal, a 5-year deal. In college, it's free agency, but it repeats itself every summer. Yeah. Because I do think it's good that players can transfer, even though it makes I mean, for us, even on the media or the coaching side, it is almost a different roster every year. But look, if a player's not happy, that I think they should be able to go. But then I hope they don't fall into the trap of just transferring so much and never sticking it out that they don't have a chance to build on gains. So it'll be interesting to see how it all goes in the next, 3 months, just even nationally with the new rule being passed that everyone gets one free transfer. So.
Well, Casey, again, thank you for joining us. Real quick, wanted to ask you, what was your first impression of Mark Madsen when you guys strapped it up at Stanford together?
Well, Mark was a legend. Mark is one of the biggest reasons why I went to Stanford. When I grew up in Southern California, and I was one of the better high school players in the state. And when I was thinking about where I wanted to go, I was watching, a bunch of college basketball, and I was watching Stanford make the Final Four, the year before I decided to go there. And Mark has one of the most famous plays in Stanford basketball history when he picked up a loose ball against Rhode Island and got an and-one dunk and did the Mad Dog shimmy. And I remember watching that game and being like, and Mark was, I think, only a sophomore when he did that. So I was watching that game thinking, I get to play with a dude who plays like that and who screams like that and who rebounds like that. Sign me up. So that's my first impression of Mark from afar. And then when I got to know him, I mean, Mark's one of the most genuine, humble, positive people I've ever met. I mean, I'm sure Mark's heard that many times by many people who know him, but it's the truth. He's unique. He makes you feel great about yourself, and he was our leader. Mark showed me that you can impact a game in other ways besides scoring. And Mark will know that I was born and raised to score the basketball. That's what I wanted to do. That's how I kind of defined myself. And that wasn't necessarily a great trait. But Mark was a guy who proved to me that there's so many other ways that you can be a positive member of a basketball team. And although I never end up being as good of a rebounder or a hustler or a rebounder as Mark, it was important that I learned some of those lessons. Like, it calmed me down a little bit. So, yeah, thanks, Mark, for all the lessons, bro. I appreciate you. Love you, brother.
Case, love you too, man. Thanks for coming on the show. And thanks for coming to Stanford, man. But when you got there, Jason and Jared, man, the program took off. And it's
you're welcome, man. I'll take all the credit, dog.
Casey, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thanks for the invite. All right, Mark. Hey, Mark, good luck the rest of the way, buddy. I'm cheering for you.
Okay, you too, Casey. Talk to you soon.
All right, that was Casey Jacobson. Good surprise for you, Coach.
Love him. Great guy. He, Casey went through a tough thing when he lost his mom, but just a great family, and you talk about basketball expertise in that family. I mean, it's special. But Casey is a person. He married Brittany Blunt, who was I think a junior over there at the time at Stanford, and they just have a tremendous family, great kids, and just great people all the way around.
Well, Coach, we know you're a busy man. Thank you for taking the time to be with us here today. We'll let you go and get back to the guys.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for having me on. Take care.
Absolutely. That was Coach Madsen and Casey Jacobson. We'll take a quick break again from Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem here on the UVU Coaches Show, presented by the UVU Alumni Association on ESPN 960.
You're listening to the UVU Wolverine Coaches Show on Utah County Sports Station, ESPN 960.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, again to the UVU Coaches Show presented by the UVU Alumni Association. We are coming to you live at Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, Utah, and we are going to be joined in just a few minutes to finish up the show by the manager, Carlos Iglesias, who is a boss. But we're going to bring on our next guest real quick. Our next guest is Dan Nielsen, the women's basketball coach for the Utah Valley Wolverines. Coach, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, absolutely. Coach, coming off of a big weekend, I know it was senior night, big 74-57 victory over CBU on Saturday. What were those emotions like for you as a head coach to see those girls that you've come to really bond with over the last year or so succeed so well?
Yeah, it was a great night last Wednesday. Cal Baptist is a team they'd actually never beaten, and I think it was a kind of a perfect way to send these seniors off with a home game against them and to get a win and to have a legitimate chance at second and maybe even with some help first place still in the conference. And so just excited for them to be able to go out that way.
Give me a couple of thoughts, Coach, from your point of view, things that you've learned from these seniors.
I'm sorry, I lost you for a second. What did you say?
Oh, I said from your point of view, Coach, I would love to hear a couple things that you were able to learn from some of these seniors this year, being able to coach them.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just, continuing to fight and continuing to play for each other. There's been a couple points in the season I think they easily could have said, I'm a senior and I'm going to start worrying about the next phase of life. And they've stayed really loyal to this team and dedicated to trying to improve. And the second half of the season, I think you see that with our conference record. And just really appreciate them and their buy-in to our, the new staff and a new way of playing. And just a ton of the credit for any of the success we've had this year definitely goes to them.
Again, Utah Valley's 9 wins in conference play so far is also Utah Valley's highest win total since joining the WAC in 2013. No pressure there for you, Coach. You guys are still having fun out there, right?
Oh yeah, I think that's been the big thing. We started off conference really well, 5-0, and then kind of hit a losing streak. And I think the girls hadn't been used to a little bit of pressure and kind of having a target on their back, and so we had to get back to still doing the basics, the fundamentals, while enjoying each other and having fun with it. And so I think the last couple of weeks you've seen that we started to have some fun again and start playing better. And now we got a big week ahead of us with first place UMKC on the road, and then Chicago State, who's been playing better of late.
So, Coach, walk us through your preparation for this road trip. Now that you've got almost a full season under your belt with this team and with this conference, is travel as big of a problem as some might think, going on the road, trying to stay focused?
I actually think for us it's a little better. I think going on the road, we might be a little more focused. We don't have the distractions of, friends or social life. We're kind of just together and we're focused on our goal. I think this year you see our 2 longer road trips, the New Mexico State and RGV, and then Bakersfield and Grand Canyon. We were able to sweep those trips. And so for our team, for whatever reason, it's been a positive. And I think as we've gotten to know the conference as coaches and been able to talk to the girls that have been here for a while, I think we have a good understanding of kind of who people are and what they're going to try to do. And so I'm excited. Every one of these games in conference has been really close, not just with us, but with other teams. So I think Vegas here in a week or so is going to be kind of crazy. I think really anybody has a legitimate chance to win it.
Crazy time of the year for coaches and for teams. Again, trying to go through. You got two games on the road this week. Then you come back and then got to get ready to travel back down to Las Vegas, be on the road again. Is there any sort of strategy to try and pace things out over the next 2 weeks?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we talked about actually this morning as we started preparing for UMKC is we know we're going to be on the road here for a while, especially if we can win some games in Vegas. We'll get back late Saturday night and be home Sunday and then practice and leave on Monday for Vegas and kind of start to get ready. So we're going to be gone for a while. So it's managing just staying focused and prepared while still kind of enjoying the steps of what we're doing. March is always the most fun time in a basketball season, and so trying to enjoy each step of the way. And we're going to prepare like we have all year, just really get ready defensively and try and go out there and play with a little bit of energy and intensity and hopefully give ourselves a chance.
Has there been anything that you have learned about yourself during this first year as a head coach?
I think it's I don't have as much time to yell at the refs as a head coach as I did when I was an assistant, so that's probably the refs probably enjoy that. I think it's just understanding how to better balance time spent on certain things, whether it's in practice or recruiting or scheduling, and making sure that all those things are getting taken care of like they should. And so it's been a great growing year for me and my staff, and the players have been great and patient with us as we kind of figured things out along the way. And I think luckily we've started to find a little success that hopefully we can finish out the season strong with continued success and start building, for the future.
Excellent stuff. Well, Coach, we know you're busy. As always, we love having you on the show. Anybody from your coaching staff, players, it's been fun to watch you throughout this season, and we'll be definitely keeping tabs on you this week and next week as you guys head into WAC Vegas.
Well, perfect. Hey, I appreciate you having me on and always supporting us, and excited to see some of you guys down in Vegas.
Absolutely. Thanks, Coach. Travel safe.
All right, thanks, Brandon.
All right, that was women's basketball head coach Dan Nielsen. Again, big, huge victory for the Wolverines last week, taking down CBU on senior night, and they will go on a tough road trip at Kansas City and then finish it off with Chicago State on Saturday as well. Some players to keep an eye out for you. Again, Madison Grange, Jordan Holland, continuing to be explosive. Lexi Brown as well. So it's great to see this program really turn it around. I know a lot of people early on in the season were scratching their heads because the Wolverines were having a hard time finding those victories. But the last month and a half or so, Utah Valley has really turned it around and become one of, if not the toughest opponent to take down in the Western Athletic Conference. So wish Coach Nielsen and his staff nothing but the best as they finish up this last road trip of the regular season. But we'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back again from Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem. We're going to take a break and be right back with the general manager, Carlos Iglesias, after this on ESPN 960.
Let's get back to the UVU Wolverine Coaches Show on Utah County Sports Station, ESPN 960.
We are live from Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, Utah. Brandon Crow with you on the UVU Coaches Show. It's been a fun show. Surprise Coach Madsen with a former teammate of his, Casey Jacobson from Stanford. Casey doing some analysis on TV for the Pac-12 network as well as FS1. Fantastic professional career and just a tremendous guest and person. It was awesome to have him on. We just heard from Dan Nielsen, the women's basketball coach. But none of this would be possible if we were not here at Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem. And we are here with El Jefe, as they call him, the boss, Carlos Iglesias. Carlos, thanks for joining us on the show here.
Hey, no problem. We're just really glad to be able to support UVU sports and especially the basketball team. And boy, that was a great interview with Mad Dog. I mean, he's just amazing, and we just appreciate having him here.
Absolutely. Now, Carlos, what is your sports background like? Have you been a fan of any particular sport?
A lot of basketball. Okay. A lot of basketball growing up. I grew up in Los Angeles, so I kind of followed Mark Madsen, even before I even realized who he was, but big Laker fan, love football, but I'm a big sports fan for sure.
I as well was born in Los Angeles. Where are you from?
I went to Reseda High School, the San Fernando Valley.
Excellent. I'm from Santa Clarita.
Oh, okay.
So,
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hart High School. Where'd you?
That was our rival. We went to Canyon.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah. Good old,
awesome.
Good old San Fernando Valley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Place. Some good rivals there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, Carlos, you did say that you have been with Garff for how long? You said
26 years.
26 years.
Yep, and it's all been here in this valley, actually between Center Street here in Orem and here on University Parkway the last 20 plus years. But I was with Ken Garff Honda for 20 years, and the last 6 years here at Volkswagen, and it's been great, man. Volkswagen's a great car.
So I was reading some of the stats that we have here for the Volkswagen, but what right now are what you want your customers and consumers out there to know?
Well, there's so many cars out in the market today, and it's like, what do you pick? And they're all made really well. But here's what I've learned with Volkswagen. In the last 6 years being here, I was like, who do I really want to work with a Volkswagen and drive? You drive a Volkswagen. German engineering is unbelievable. The car's heavier, so it's quieter. And, they put spunk in their car, horsepower and torque. And so it makes the car not just a reliable car, but a really fun car to drive. People love them.
Yeah, they don't look that bad either.
Oh, no, they look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And, you go back to the tradition, like the car right behind us, the old Beetle, and I gotta thank Mark Madsen for plugging the Volkswagen, because his wife has had a Tiguan for years that's been serviced here for years. So, and then he drives an Atlas. So they're great cars, fun to drive, and just lots of room. Technology's state of the art. So it's a great car.
Now, are you going to be able to come out to any of these UVU basketball games, or we got baseball coming up?
Oh yeah,
Can we get you to throw out the first pitch?
I'm all in on that. Yeah, I can throw, right in the dirt. Make a lot of. But yeah, we go to the games, and you growing up in LA, you got to have a soft spot for the. I mean, I've always had a soft spot for the basketball team and UVU sports, but now with Mark Madsen there, I'm a Laker fan, and so, oh yeah, we're there, and definitely go for sure.
Laker fans stick together.
Oh yes, we do.
Los Angelinos.
Yes, we do.
Now, Carlos, are there any promotions coming up in the near future that people should be aware about?
Well, a lot of people are asking about when's this electric bus coming. Everybody wants this bus to come back. Yeah, so we're about 2 years away.
Okay.
It's already produced. It's going to be a wonderful car. We've got people trying to line up and put deposits on these cars, so that'll be a great car. But what we have right now that'll be here in the next few days is called the Atlas Cross Sport. And so it takes the SUV, the full SUV that you have right now that's a 7-seater, the Atlas, and now it makes it a little bit smaller just for the guy that's looking for that luxury car, that nice, feel, but not wanting to spend, the cost of our sister company, like, the Audi. And so I can save a lot of money. It starts at $30,000. It's going to be a great vehicle, and it should be here in this week sometime for sure.
What about the gas mileage?
Gas mileage. You're going to get about somewhere in the mid-20s in the Atlas. I've gotten over 30 miles a gallon heading to Wyoming in an Atlas. And so this cross sport that's going to be smaller will actually get probably a little bit better just because it's a little bit lighter, But then we got the Volkswagen Jetta that'll get up to 40 miles per gallon on the highway. And that's a gas-aspirated car. Man, that's fantastic for a small little, run-around car for, these students here. So.
Real quick, Carlos, we know you're a busy guy, but thank you again for taking the time to be with us here on the show, and again for your continued and extended positive effort here with the Utah Valley community.
Well, for sure. Thank you for having me.
That was Carlos Iglesias, El Jefe of Ken Garff Volkswagen in Orem, the boss. Come down and talk to Carlos. He'll hook you up. Again, I want to say thank you to our producer in studio, David Glauser, for all of our support here at Utah Valley, for Nate Mathis and Jason Erickson, again for all of our guests. Say thank you. We'll wrap things up for the UVU Coaches Show today. Utah Valley will take on Kansas City on Thursday and then Chicago State on Saturday. You can hear both games right here on ESPN 960. We'll see you in a week, everybody. Have a good one.